Hey everyone, welcome to my new video. I don't have 5 of these, but since YouTube doesn't award 500,000 subscribers and there's still a long way to go until 1,000,000, this is the only one I have to flash. But as you probably guessed, I've just reached 500,000 subscribers here on YouTube, and I really want to wholeheartedly thank all of you who clicked the subscribe button, because even though lately the algorithms change and maybe the subscribers doesn't mean so much for the algorithm, but it still means the same thing for me. It means every single one of you had to click that subscribe button, so you enjoyed the content, and I'm really grateful and humbled by this number of people that enjoyed my channel over the years. And I wanted to do something, to celebrate the occasion, and since it's a long time since I did like a Q&A section here, I posted a question on Instagram and YouTube, and you were able to comment and ask me a whole bunch of questions. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and answer those questions. And the first one here: what was your idea and goal when you started this channel? Did you do a side hustle while growing this channel, or did anything to make money? So I started the channel back in 2019, and I had a full-time job at that time basically, so I did this as a side hustle. And to be completely honest, at that time I was trying to build an audience, so I started posting daily on Dribbble, my portfolio site, and then it translated to recording my process and sharing it on YouTube. And basically I just saw that some people were doing time lapses, because I was a little bit shy to go on camera and start a YouTube channel right away, and I saw some people were doing time lapses, so I just started to recording my process and putting it online here on YouTube as time-lapsed, creative process videos. And that basically started the whole thing, and slowly over the time I was able to create courses and start doing some commentary tutorials. So yeah, that's basically how it all started for me. And that takes me to the second question, which is, realistically, how long would it take for someone new to Blender to master it enough to start making content? And I really like this question, because I really want to tell you that you can just start right away while you're learning. You don't need to position yourself as a teacher or an expert to give value. You can just share your process along the way as you're learning new things. And that's basically how I started. If you look back to some of my older designs, these were very simple. And I basically, with each project, I got better and better and better. But all the time I was sharing my process, and basically people were connecting with that content and, clicking that subscribe button and watching the content. So yeah, my advice is that you can just start right away, do a few tutorials, find your passion in Blender, because most of the time it's not about how proficient you are with the tool you're using, but it's about what you are creating. So for example, if you're super excited about like Pokemon, or I don't know, Star Wars or whatever, you can find your like hyper niche and start creating within that. And then people who are interested in the same topic will start watching your content and will follow you. So that's my advice. Don't wait for you to become an expert, because none of us really are, because there's always something you learn. Every video I watch on YouTube, I can learn something new, because after some time when you're working with Blender, you get this tunnel vision. So for example, I can do something over and over the same way, and suddenly I can see someone else doing the same thing with like one click of a button within Blender interface that I didn't know was there. So, and that happens a lot, honestly. So it's not about being an expert or mastery. It's about whether you have to some passion to offer, and whether you can be creative and enjoy the process of sharing your journey, recording your process, and talking about this creative passion of yours. So yeah, that's basically it. And let's do the next question. When you turn off your computer, what does your outside look like? What do you do to get away from the computer and chill? very good question. I struggled with this a lot over the years, and I still do. But what I found out that I really need to get outside. That's really the correct word that you use there in the question. Because, for example, I had this passion of playing guitar and composing music, but I found out that it's the same thing. Where if I would just switch from Blender to making music, I would still like sit in front of the same PC and play guitar or record my music, and I really don't get away from the environment that I'm working in, and that doesn't enable me to blow off enough steam to kind of recharge myself. So over the time I found out that what works best for me is to really get outside and do like find new passions like sports and activities. Like for example, I started windsurfing or I started learning snowboarding, and those are the activities where you really need to focus on what you're doing, so your head is in the moment and you don't have any time to like think about work and content creation and stuff like that, and you really get to chill a little bit. So yeah, let's do another one. Yeah, this will be a fun one. Has the generative AI technology affected your work or your motivation to keep producing 3D art? In short, yes, of course. Since 2022, kind of looking out there on what's happening with the generative AI technology, and of course I felt threatened by it. And I still do from time to time, because like you can see all those generative models that now even can create a little bit of 3D. So it definitely is something to think about. But so far, I haven't found any proof that it kind of hurts my business or what I do. So I still have my clients, I still produce, and I'm able to make a living with the 3D design. So basically the AI technology so far was just a tool that I could use sometimes to, for example, generate some inspiration images that I can use then to model and produce my scenes. And even if you're able to create a 3D model, a generative 3D model, what do you do with it? So you still need to be able to place it within the scene, create an environment, set up cameras, animation if you're working with animation, set up lighting, render it out, and even update the model you just created, or retexture it, or make it a little bit better, get rid of errors. So those are still all of the things you need to do and will need to do. So basically what I'm looking at when I see the generative AI is just a tool that will slowly, creep in and be able to create a lot of things for you. So, as I said, even if it's whole 3D model, you still need to control the whole pipeline. There's some goal you're trying to achieve with the project. There's some, creative brief, maybe from a client or something. So you still need to control the whole process, and you need to be able to deliver the final result. And you won't be able to do that if you don't learn the tools, if you don't learn the 3D, if you don't, learn your UV unwrapping or sculpting or modeling techniques. So the more knowledge you have yourself, the better you are able to leverage these tools and these helpers. So I don't see like the whole project happening in AI anytime soon. Basically 3 years has passed and nothing like that happened. So I still think it's worth to kind of dive in into the world of 3D and learn to the best of your abilities. And if you're able to leverage the AI, do it. For example, if it's important for you that they were created and trained ethically. So that's one of the things you might need to consider. So yeah, it's a tool so far, nothing else. Play with it, try it, but learn the whole thing, the whole pipeline, so you get to be the master of the whole creation process. And the next question is quite fun. How many cubes do you think you have deleted in your entire career? I got really puzzled by this one, so I actually did the calculation, and I just looked at the number of YouTube videos I posted. It's 569. I keep my Blender setup vanilla, so I don't edit my startup scene or anything, because it's really important for me when people launch Blender that they see the same thing that I have on my screen. So I didn't update my starting project to not include the default cube. So every time I start a new project, I need to delete it. So at least these 560 times I had to delete it. And then, you know, I had that half a year when I started out and I was producing one scene per day for Dribble. And I did it for 6 months, so that's like 30 times 6. It's at least 700 plus default cubes deleted, you know, lying somewhere in the pocket dimension for the Blender cubes. So let's do another one here. And yeah, this one's interesting as well. Developing one's unique artistic style is so important. How do you suggest exploring and solidifying a personal style? With so many existing approaches already, realistic, animated, anime styles, it feels challenging to discover something new that genuinely feels like your own. To be honest, I struggled with this a lot from the beginning and still am, but don't feel the need to kind of discover like a whole different new style that hasn't been discovered. That probably won't happen because, as you said, like there's so much content already out there. But the personal style isn't about like discovering whole new style and whole new approach. It's basically picking and cherry picking different tools, approaches, techniques, and your own personal flavor that will kind of create the unique styles. For example, if you're doing like anime style renders and you're using line art, then maybe after some time you try to experiment with the line art and you do different distortions there or things like that that will make your line art different from, you know, someone else. And even though you're using multiple different styles and jumping from style to style, after some time you will have your way of lighting things, the way you're using camera, and the themes are important as well. So for example, if you're like a huge fan of Lovecraftian horror and you're doing your scenes in that specific niche, that already differentiates you from other artworks out there. And if you combine all of these things, like for example, you're doing like a Lovecraftian themes and you're using line art and you're using, I don't know, some specific procedural texturing technique, all of these things combined with your personal touch and flavor and the way you're lighting things will basically result in your own style. But you only are able to discover this after like several years of working and creating these artworks. So again here, like what I would suggest is to be patient and enjoy the process. Don't try to go into this like I'm gonna develop my style and then I'm gonna produce A, B or C. No, just, you know, go and create what excites you the most, and after some time you will, you know, find your ways around Blender, around 3D graphics, and you will, you know, personalize the way you do things, and that will ultimately result in a certain style. And there's one, congrats on 500k, thank you, that was from Instagram. How do you maintain your motivation? Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, so it can be quite challenging at times. The whole content creation world is really demanding on your time. A lot of times I have to work weekends and I have to, you know, I'm trying to maintain certain schedule. So it's a little bit different when you're working 9 to 5 and you have your free time and stuff. Like you can work around with it, but generally what I found out even while talking with others, this kind of job really demands a lot of time, even when you're trying to learn new things. So you have to set some time aside in front of PC to, you know, really just learn. So yeah, motivation can be hard at times, but at the same time, like this is what I do for a living, so that kind of helps a little bit, because if I don't do this, I cannot pay my bills. But at times when I feel burnt out, I just really go to some of these things that I mentioned in the beginning of my video. So I blow off some steam, take some times off for myself, and kind of try to find a new inspiration in things I do. So for example, when I learned to sail a boat, then it kind of translated to my work, because I felt excited sitting down and model a boat, for example. So all of these things can, really help you to maintain the motivation to create. I think the main thing is, if you enjoy the process of creation, if yes, then even the worst kind of burnout will pass after some time, if if you're smart about it and you spend some time off the screen. And there's another one from Instagram that I really like. What has been your most rewarding project to date and why? This is absolute no-brainer for me. It's the dragon, low poly dragon from Game of Thrones, the scene where the dragon is destroying the wall. It's the one from 2019, so it's one of the first projects I did, and it's the one that basically sparked my YouTube growth. So when I started the YouTube, I basically just set myself to create 50 process videos and see where it goes. So I was at it project after project, and I got like 100 views, 200 views, really small numbers, but I kept at it, and suddenly I kind of hit the sweet spot with the theme, because the Game of Thrones season was ending and there was this huge scene everyone was excited about, and I hit the certain style that people enjoyed, and basically the video went viral and it blew my channel up. I gained several thousand subscribers, views. I was able to launch my courses at that time, so that was really the pivot point that kind of pushed me over the edge, and I was able to translate this into my full-time work basically. So that's absolutely most rewarding project from all of those to date. Yeah, there were several questions if there's a new course coming. And yes, absolutely, there's a new course coming. But one of the questions was actually how long it takes to create a course. So it takes months, for me at least. So with the course, I have to create the whole curriculum, think about all the tools and information to teach, and then kind of go and organize all of this in order that's easy for any skill level to catch up. And all the time I need to map all of this knowledge onto the creative projects. So, I will come up with props and assets in the scene that will help me to teach certain skill and stuff like that. So it's very methodical and time demanding. And again, like 10-hour course takes months for me to create. And that's basically the main difference between the courses and YouTube videos, where basically with the YouTube videos, I just have to think about the topic I want to do, sit down, create a project, talk about it, do a little tutorial or something, and just put it online, and takes like 2 or 3 days for me. But the course can take 2, 3 or 4 months, maybe sometimes more, to create. So that's the main difference, and that's what people are paying for basically, that I really go deep and explain everything. And it's a product that I guarantee, and I offer then a technical support towards this product. So if anyone has struggles, I offer my help and help troubleshoot along the way. So it's very different thing from YouTube videos. So yeah, definitely there's a new one coming up, I hope shortly, but again, it takes some time, so I don't want to spoil anything or promise anything. So the moment I will have something to show you, you will be first to learn about it. So yeah, I think that's like the most of the interesting questions. There were a lot of other questions. I will try and go to reply to every one of you there who posted the question, either on YouTube or Instagram, because I really appreciate you taking time and posting these questions. And I really want you to get an answer for me, so I will probably now go ahead and answer some of those personally. So yeah, that's it for the latest Q&A video. I'm so glad I was able to do this right now. I even did a little, audio and video update lately to get a, better quality for my videos. So it all kind of felt into place right now and felt good to create this kind of video. And please let me know if you like this kind of format, if you maybe want to do this on a regular basis. I will be happy to answer more questions. We can do this maybe once a month or something. So definitely, if you like this and you want to, listen to this type of content, let me know in the comment. And again, I want to thank all of you hitting the subscribe button. It really means the world to me, and without you, none of this would be possible. So thank you again. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.